Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the SmackDown report for the 26th of February 2021. And I will say the simplest way to say it is this show it becomes more flat. It's flat like a steak-um week in and week out. And there's it's sad, really. They have a national broadcast TV program, something that most wrestling companies would prize, and there are just things on the show that don't need to happen. Every once in a while, there's about two good segments on a weekly basis, and then the rest of it can be thrown away. That's about what happens here. So, anyway, we gonna open the program, um, with Roman Reigns, Paul Heyman, Jey Uso make their way to the ring. Feels like this has been going on forever. I'm beyond Roman at this point. Honestly, 7 years later, I'm tired of seeing him. He's good. Don't get me wrong. He's very good, but he's also stale, and I think that's an issue in itself. They recap winning over Daniel Bryan of the Elimination Chamber. Roman yammers on about defeating him at the pay per view. They pipe in chants about how much Roman is a bad guy. Um, he's upset that Edge is here. Roman points out that Edge speared him and points to the WrestleMania sign. Roman says that he'll give Edge a way out of the match. He doesn't want to hurt Edge, so he is going to allow him to back out of WrestleMania. Roman spent weeks trying to get Edge to pick him for the main event, and now he's telling him to back off. Gee, he sounds like a jilted lover. Come here, go away. Come here, go away. Anyway, Daniel Bryan interrupts and makes his way out. He makes fun of Reigns for agreeing to defend the title against him. And then after he competed in the chamber, he points out that people think Reigns defending the title right after the match was cowardly. Bryan makes fun of Reigns in his defense of the title, second match pay-per-view, and the main event. And Reigns didn't want him to have time to get ready. Bryan noted that there's comparisons between them. He wants to give Reigns a chance to prove that he can prove the doubters wrong. Bryan challenges Reigns for Fastlane for the title. This is good. Honestly, this particular promo is good. Uso grabs the mic. He's angry. He challenges Bryan. He screams that Reigns already beat him on Sunday. Reigns gets in Bryan's face, and Uso jumps him. Uso then sends Bryan to the floor and over the barricade. Edge approaches Adam Pearce and Sonya Deville in the office. Weird that they're using Sonya in a way that's a complete throwaway. Maybe she's injured, maybe she's retired, maybe we don't know, but it's just the way they're handling her is odd to me. After the break, Uso apologizes to Reigns for kind of jumping the gun. Reigns told him not to worry about it and he'd take care of it. Back in the office, Edge claims Pierce told him he'd get the tag with Bryan against Reigns and Uso at Fastlane. Bryan just challenged Reigns for the title. Pierce noted the tag match was tentative and the title match fell in their lap. Pierce announces that Bryan takes on Uso later, and if he wins, he gets the title shot at Fastlane. Michael Cole and Corey Graves, I almost said Kerry Graves, point out that Bryan could get a title shot before Edge. Would be interesting, not that I expect them to do it, but would be interesting to give the dream match of Bryan versus Edge at WrestleMania. I almost would rather see that than Reigns versus Edge. But I don't think they're going to do that. And honestly, what do you do with Reigns if that's what you're doing? Unless, maybe Reigns and Goldberg or Reigns and some other legend. I guess you could do that. Speaking of throwaway matches, Otis and Chad Gable, Rey Mysterio, and Dominic I just and Otis and Gable win. Um, it the match is kept super short. Gable and Otis show footage of the attack from previous week. Heels had an early advantage. Otis tosses Ray around the ring, backs him into a corner. Gable has to calm him down before he beats down Ray. Dominic gets the hot tag, goes running wild on Gable, hits a massive DDT for a near fall. Ray hits a seated senton onto Gable and hits the 619. Ray follows up with a splash on Gable. Otis breaks the pin. Otis catches Ray and slams him down. He knocks Dominic to the floor and then hits the second rope splash on Ray for the win. Um, I mean, honestly, do we? Rey Mysterio is going to retire sooner or later, right? So do we really want to waste a legend in? Does anyone think that they're going to remember who Otis is in 5 years? Does anyone think that Gable is a guy that in 3 years we're going to go, oh, he shot to the top so quickly? No. And so wasting the Mysterios in this way, Dominic Mysterio is one of the only people that they still have that could be something longer term someday. It just doesn't make sense. Anyway, speaking of not making sense, Apollo Crews defeats Shinsuke Nakamura. Match is fine, but Crews is flat. They've rehabbed him so many times and pulled back on it. It's just stupid at this point. Cole says that Big E's healing up after the attack last week. Crews claims that he's being his real self. He says he's not from the hood or from the suburbs. He's from Nigeria. He comes from royalty. He has royal family history. Crews then brags about beating down Big E last week. Big E tells him to go to catering, but he went back to his roots. Nakamura comes out and interrupts. They get in the ring. Crews jumps Nakamura before the match begins. Back from the break, Crews is in control. He beats down Nakamura in the corner. He then slows the pace to a chinlock. Crews tries a German suplex. Nakamura lands on his feet, but it's kind of clunky. Nakamura fires back, hits a sliding knee for a near fall. Crews recovers and hits a series of German suplexes for a near fall. Nakamura fights back and hits a slinging German suplex of his own. Sets up Kinshasa, but Crews is out of the way. Crews regains control and attempts to press slam Nakamura. Slips out the back door. He locks on a sleeper, but Crews grabs his scarf and then sends Nakamura into the buckle. Crews then hits an angle slam for the win. It was fine, but it's flat. I don't know who's going to care about this. Heyman informs Reigns it's official. If Bryan wins, he gets the title shot at Fastlane. Reigns wondered if that means tag match between Reigns and Uso against Edge and Bryan is off. Heyman clarifies that the tag match is only off if Bryan wins. So you can kind of predict what's going to happen next. Anyway, Tamina with Natalya, who cares about either one, defeats Liv Morgan with Ruby Riott. They're wasting Liv Morgan, not a big surprise there. Match is kept short, but it just feels inconsequential, like no one's going to care about it by the end of the show. Tamina squashes Morgan. Tamina dominates the whole match, tosses her across the ring, follows up with a splash, and gets a near fall. Morgan makes a short comeback. Enziguri second rope dropkick for a near fall of her own. Tamina hits a Samoan drop and gets a win in the process. Bianca Belair makes her final decision for Mania. Pearson DeVille praise Belair, introduce her, make the announcement. They show a couple of video packages of Asuka and Sasha Banks. Belair knows that everyone's been waiting a long time for her decision. Really? It's been long? Royal Rumble was long ago. She gets to know or she lets us know that who she's going to face at Mania. Reginald interrupts, makes fun of Belair. Said she shouldn't pick Sasha because she can't beat her. Then Belair gets in Reginald's face. Banks interrupts, makes her way to the ring, warns Reginald not to speak for her. Banks makes fun of Belair, notes that she's the best, and that at best Belair is second best to her. Belair gets in her face and announced she'd take on Banks at WrestleMania 37. Good gosh, 37 years. The really scary thing is I've seen all but the first. I've seen all but the first six. Well, no, the first five live. So that's I feel old anyway. Um, so Banks, is in the face. Sami Zayn approaches King Corbin, another throwaway match, by the way. Asks him what he thinks about the conspiracies against him, and Corbin wonders why they're partners together. I'm wondering the same thing. Zayn believes they'd make a great team and could take over the division. Corbin agrees but demands that the documentary crew stop filming. And Street Profits defeat Corbin and Sami Zayn. What a fall for the Street Profits. Match was average. They show Ziggler and Rude as tag team champions in the back, drinking out of solo cups, making fun of the Street Profits. Please tell me the Street Profits aren't going to beat Ziggler and Rude and that they had a better plan when they put the belts on these guys. Anyway, faces get an early advantage. Heels take over quick. Zayn acknowledges the documentary crew from the ring. Corbin attempts being around the ring, some clotheslines. Documentary crew is there. Corbin's famous and yelled at them. Dawkins regains control. Heels are in control when we come back from the break. Isolate Ford on their side of the ring. Dawkins gets a hot tag, goes nuts on Zayn. Dawkins hits a splash in the corner, hits a bulldog for a near fall, and then Corbin gets sent to the floor. Zayn fights back, hits a DDT for a near fall of his own. Corbin starts yelling at the documentary crew at ringside. Ford jumps over Zayn and hits a dive. Dawkins hits a neck breaker and Zayn and Ford hits the frog splash for the win. I mean, the match, again, is anyone going to know this match took place next week? Is it anyone going to care what the result is next week or by the end of this program? No. And that's the thing. If you can't book segments that people are going to at least remember happened, then why are you booking it at all? And if your answer is to fill TV time, then you're dumber than a box of rocks. Anyway, Corbin yells at Zayn after the match. Caleb Braxton interviews Daniel Bryan. Bryan doesn't think Edge can beat Roman. He says he's got a better shot. Edge approached and noted that if Bryan beats Reigns, they'd face each other at Mania, which is a dream match, at least in my brain. Seth Rollins makes his way to the ring. He notes that there's been a reaction to the letter he wrote to management. Cesaro's music interrupts. Rollins backs down and apologizes to Cesaro. He praises Cesaro, calling him a star. Rollins notes that Cesaro is one of the strongest people in the area and that he can grab the brass ring. Rollins notes he says he has killer instinct. He could teach Cesaro how to have more of that. Rollins tells Cesaro all he has to do is embrace his vision. Rollins gives Cesaro a week to think about it. Instead, Cesaro hits the giant swing and then an uppercut. Daniel Bryan and Jey Uso go at it here. Match is fine. The finish was horrible. Bryan has an early advantage, works over Uso's arm. Obviously, he's got the injured knee from the previous week. Bryan goes up the corner, lands on his bad knee, caught Uso with a clothesline and a dropkick in the corner. Bryan follows up with a Rana off the top. Bryan sends him to the floor, attempts a dive. Uso cuts him off. Uso attacks Bryan's leg on the floor, slams Bryan's knee into the announce table, and then hits the ring post. Uso is in control, continues to target the injured leg. Uso hits a Samoan drop and a near fall. Bryan regained control after Uso misses a splash. Bryan sets up Uso on the floor and follows up with a sliding drop kick. Bryan then rocks Uso with a knee off the apron. Uso avoids a drop kick and a shot to the back of the leg. Uso slows the pace down and hits a half crab. Bryan breaks free and rocks Uso with a kick to the head. Bryan attempts a running knee. Uso hits chop block to the injured knee. Uso climbs to the top. Bryan cuts him off. Bryan hits a butterfly suplex into the yes lock. Uso breaks the ropes. Finish comes when they both fight to the floor, and the referee counted them both out. After the match, Bryan applies the yes lock again. Roman jumps in, beats down Bryan. Bryan fights back, applies the yes lock on Reigns, and Reigns gets back to his feet, hits the spear on Bryan, locks in the guillotine submission. Reigns poses for the belt as we go off the air. I mean, it makes sense from a story perspective, but at the same time, number one, I was able to recapture that whole show in what, just over 16 minutes, and no one's gonna remember this next week. No one's gonna remember that main event angle. No one. I mean, you might remember the tease of Edge and Bryan. You might remember. You're gonna remember Belair, challenging Sasha Banks. But other than that, the rest of the show's throwaway. And that's the problem with WWE. They have all this television time and it's throwaway. And I actually have fear that with AEW adding new shows, some of their content's going to be throwaway too. But anyway, until next time, keep your feet on the ground, your mind in the moment. Until next time, everybody.